Welcome back to another episode of BestowCast, or should I just say Yo Joe? Today, as in March 8th, Hasbro released or dropped some G.I. Joe news. So I wanted to make sure, we've been talking a lot about movies as of late, but I really wanted to make sure that I hit up on the collector's end of things and at least talk about the Joe end of things. I know I had put out a bitchy episode not too terribly long ago where, am I going to continue my collection or not? What should I do? I mean, ultimately, now that it's a little bit of time has passed since that episode, I'm still all in for the G.I. Joes, which I think I said that in the episode anyway. So far, there's no reason for me to bail on the Joes. However, I can say that a couple things have shown up in the other realms of what I normally collect in. Like there has been some stuff that popped up in Marvel, and there's some stuff that popped up in I think the Indiana Jones line. Oh, Star Wars line definitely. And I just had to pass on it. I just, sorry, the price increase and the double price increase in the windowless packages just kind of just was like, it's just kind of a pass. But as far as Joe's, I'm still all in, and I derailed this thing right off in the beginning. In the beginning, we just went off the deep end right away. News.histank.com, they bring you the news that is related to G.I. Joe, and they did the thing that I failed to do, which is take notes, because I was just I always just shoot from the hip. And then, I forget everything. I may probably announce the wrong things and so on and so forth. So Yo Joe. So I'm going to actually read down the line and provide some thoughts, insights, sanderisms, whatever you come here to listen to. The first thing that they did is they did their name only pipeline. So if you don't follow this, if you're a collector but you don't get this deep into it, they started doing this thing where it's just name only, where it's like, oh, here's a bunch of things that we're working on that we can I guess safely say them by name. We have no renders to show you. We have no renders to show you. We have no physical product to show you. But this should satiate your appetite for a little bit. I've read mixed reviews about that kind of thing. To me, it doesn't really matter to me. I mean, half the time it actually gets me excited because two of these three things that is on this name only pipeline reveal, I'm super excited for. The two of these things were things that I had when I was a child, and I wouldn't mind having them again in this larger line. The first one was, of course, Quick Kick. The next one is Big Boa, which I've never had, but funny side story on Big Boa, and Mutt and Junkyard, which is I'm totally excited for. I really liked having the pair. I always liked having the dog, which would be Junkyard. I always liked having Junkyard. I don't even think Junkyard teamed up with Mutt much in my adventures with the 3 3/4 figures. I think Mutt hung around with pretty much any Joe, any Joe in any mission. Mutt was, or sorry, I'm saying that backwards. Any Joe, any mission, Junkyard was on that mission with them. Mutt is the person, Junkyard is the damn dog. Sometimes I don't know why, and I know that, and sometimes I'll still end up saying it backwards. I guess it's habit, because you're forced to, whenever you hear the word Mutt, you always think about dog. Quick Kick is another one that was a favorite of mine when I had as a kid. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I'm looking back at like a 30 plus, 35 plus year old memory. Give or take. I mean, I liked Quick Kick. Quick Kick was always a part of the missions and everything, but I don't think Quick Kick ranked as high as Mutt and Junkyard. Although Quick Kick, I always enjoyed in the fact that I even found this weird when I was a child, that they find Quick Kick in the Arctic. For whatever reason, he was shooting a television commercial, and they bailed and they abandoned him, and he's just got no shoes on, no shirt, and they just left him in the Arctic, and that's how the Joes find him. weird. And I remember that being weird when I was a kid, and it's still weird when I'm an adult. Big Boa, on the other hand, is a kind of an interesting thing. I'm surprised that Big Boa would actually make it into this lineup, but as long as life, as long as this line has life, I wouldn't be surprised that they try to make majority of whatever has been out in the past, and just this is totally cashing on nostalgia. They're going to ride this bubble as long as they can, and I hope that they can produce on this bubble. I hope this bubble lasts for a little bit longer. But Big Boa originally was supposed to be Rocky Balboa, the famous boxer they made a movie of, or vice versa. I guess Sylvester Stallone was going to sign his likeness. I think this came around after like Sergeant Slaughter already was, they did Sergeant Slaughter, and it was such a success that they were going to do this with Sylvester Stallone as Rocky Balboa. And something happened and it fell through. I don't know what the details were, but I do recall that I guess like the follow card and some artwork and stuff had made it into the Marvel Comics. But ultimately, like I said, it all fell through. And I guess that they had this sculpt that they didn't really want to throw away, so they just put a helmet on this boxer, this action figure with boxing gloves, put the Cobra symbol on the boxing gloves, and made him a Cobra character. Never had it. It was never a part of my arsenal. I don't know when it was released. That figure was never on my radar, so I can't. I have no memories of that. But even as weird as it is, it's still something that I'd be interested in. I mean, so far, as far as the collection goes, is that I've been in like almost 100%. The other things I'm missing is the Walmart exclusives, and I don't really care about the Walmart exclusives enough to chase that around. So, it's fine. Big Boa is not going to be. I don't think it's going to be something where it's like, forget that. But yeah, that's the pipeline reveals. That's the name only reveals. Mutton Junkyard is my number one reveal. It's up there at the tippy top. Quick Kick number 2, and Big Boa right following after that. I always like the things with the weird gimmicks. People always complained about like the sci-fi element, especially like the new G.I. Joes being more sci-fi related, and I actually kind of prefer these army men to be sci-fi related. Moving on. Now they also do the digital renders, which I don't know if they do the digital renders in any of the other lines. Maybe they do it for Marvel. I don't really watch like the fan cast as much as I do. Like once I got into the Joes, I'm more dedicated to the Joes. I do occasionally watch some of the other stuff, but it's not as much as this stuff. So they do the digital renders where they just show a printout of what it looks like, when they made it on the computer, in the computers, because they no longer make it clay and whatnot. They make them in the computers, and then they digitally print them. So one of the first ones they came out was Tunnel Rat with Night Vision. Okay. I don't know if I ever had Tunnel Rat. I know there's a lot of fans, like when I was shooting with like the finest cosplay group, or just people in general, there's a lot of love for Tunnel Rat. And I believe Tunnel Rat was like one of the standout characters for Renegades. Not really. I think I might have had him, but I don't. Because I think he has the bandana and he has like a paint. Or if this is just going off of memory, this isn't looking up anything related to him. But I think like he had like paint on his face to be in the trenches. I seem to recall him from the comics too. So I'm indifferent about it. I know there's Tunnel Rat fans out there, but kind of indifferent for me. The next one on the list is of course Firefly, and this is the version 2 Firefly that we have in the series. And the version 1 was, of course, the gosh darn Target exclusive. That was one of the ones that, that kind of marks when I finally threw my hat into the ring and decided that I was going to start going after these for my shelf. And Firefly was a pain in the ass to find. All those first run Target exclusives were such a nightmare. I don't even recall how I got it. I don't think I got it through Target. He might have gone through a re-release through Hasbro. I might have gotten it through there, because at one point people were complaining, and Hasbro did a small release on the website that you could get it at one time. But if you missed it, you missed it. And I think I might have gotten on it. I don't think I got it off of eBay. There's very few of my collection that got off of eBay. I don't want to support scalpers, so there is very, very little that I have that's from eBay, or if and what I have I was probably very, very desperate for. But I really like the fact that this is the classic version. I love both versions. I love that there is two different versions of them. I love that there's a version that has that has the armored vest on him and everything, and they gave him different materials too. Like instead of the same old of well, here's Snake Eyes, but he has a black visor instead of a silver visor, and then here's one with a blue tint instead of a black tint, and here's one where he has the commando head instead of where it's just the same thing, that they just do the bare minimum to just keep releasing them and cashing in on it. And I kind of like the fact that there are two different types of Fireflies. I mean, I believe they said at one point in time that these characters are supposed to be representative of different points in maybe their career, whereas the armored Firefly may be later in life versus this one where he was earlier in his career. I know, like, they did that with is it Outback? It's Outback. Where the Target exclusive Tiger Force version of him has the gray hair, and he has the crow's feet. He's got the wrinkles. He's seen some shit. And then we have the other version of Outback, which is he's more younger, and I kind of like that idea where they're kind of out at different eras or different points in their career. It's a kind of a fun aspect, versus where it's just the same guy and he's repainted over and over and over again. But he's in his classic kind of camo, gray and dark gray. I don't know what colors they would call it. Gray and black, maybe. I always associate it as just gray and darker gray, light gray and dark gray. He was always a part of my Joe team. For whatever reason, I never associated Firefly as a villain. I always associated Firefly as a Joe. So when I had this toy when I was a kid, he was always a part of the Joe team. Apparently he was a turncoat. He was a part of the Joes, and it was so weird. I don't know, I can't recall very many cartoons that he was in that I might remember, but I do recall when second live action G.I. Joe movie came out. I don't think he was in the first one. I think he was in the second one, or do I have that backwards? Whichever one. I think it's the second one. When he comes out and he's part of the Cobras, I'm like, wait, he is? Oh, wait a minute. It's just so funny how my childhood memory just overrode any backstory that's related to the actual backstory related to that character. That character was always the hero. He was always the hero. He was on the heroes team. I also think I may also associate him more so with Beachhead. I don't think I've ever had Beachhead, and I think as a kid, people who my other friends who had Beachhead, I just always thought that it was just a color variant of Firefly. I just thought it was just also Firefly as well. The first classified release has armor, and he has this vulture drone, which is pretty cool. And this one they gave him an RC car that drops landmines and everything, which probably goes well because I guess they announced that Tripwire is coming out soon. So we got a guy who's dropping the landmines, and we have the Joe that's responsible for finding landmines. And I really like that they didn't just swap the paint, swap the box, and just okay, here we go, out the door. With that being said, let's see here. The next one that's on the list is Low Light. This is a character I discovered more later in life. This is not a childhood memory of it, but I just recall seeing him when I was older, and it was just that's cool. He's a sniper, and that's cool, even though we're not allowed to call them snipers anymore. I think that they're all scouts now. Nobody's a sniper. That's a bad word according to Hasbro. It comes with his sniper rifle that breaks down into a case, which is pretty cool. I did see some 25th anniversary ones of him. I believe it was of him where they they kind of broke down, like where they had cases like that broke down, and I always thought that was kind of neat. And this would probably work better as a 6-inch than the 3 3/4 inch. I seem to like more and more as I start reading into the errors that I missed out on. It seems to be like the later 3 3/4 stuff. They kind of got into what these 6 inches were, where everything sockets into their backpacks or onto them, and they had tools that, like the sniper rifle would break down into a carry case. I can't imagine that being any good. I can't imagine that working really well in 3 3/4. There's probably a lot of people were losing parts and missing parts, whatever. Whereas I feel like this works a little bit better. This must be this is a little bit better uptick than the previous generation went to 3 3/4 version. But I'm excited to see him. I just like his image and how he looks. I don't have much of a childhood memory of that character, but the adult Paul it kind of likes the look of that character. And it's actually probably more excited for him versus Big Bo. Let's see here. What's the other one that's on here? Oh, Shadow Tracker. So Shadow Tracker is a newer Joe. We're seeing a lot more and more newer Joes. Helix is a newer Joe. I'm not familiar with Helix. I am not familiar with Shadow Tracker. Shadow Tracker just looks friggin' awesome. I like when things are on theme and they're just they're I don't want to say they're out there. But he seems to fit, like he'd fit in a world with Zartan, because he has like these skull masks. I don't even know if he's a hero or a villain. I mean, that tells you a lot of what I know about this character. But he has these skull masks. Exclusive Zartan has a similar skull mask that was supposedly made from the comics when it's an appearance. It's how it appeared in the comics, or it's derived from the comics. It doesn't exactly look the same, but Shadow Tracker's masks look very much like the stuff that Zartan wears. And he's different. I'd like it when they're different. I can't wait for that one either. Paul's generally positive and can't wait for anything and everything. When it comes to movie reviews and everything else, you never, I'm gonna like it all. I'm gonna like it before I shit on it, and then I'll record a podcast, and then I'll spend time shitting on it. We come to the standard waves, or the standard releases. I'm reading this off of this website, and of course, I guess I should stop before I get into the actual characters. They announced price points, so they have the standard wave, which is just your basic wave for $24.99. They have your deluxe wave, which are things that are extra. They just couldn't fit in the basics. It's $34.99. Then we have the pet deluxe, which is a figure that comes with a pet. So like Mutt and Junkyard are going to be $34.99. $44.99, and then a 2 figure packs and some of the bigger stuff is $54.99. So they made it a big point to point all that out. And of course, I'm reading this off the site basically top to bottom, and I'm announcing the next thing is the standard, which technically it is. They 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 of them they released for standard. They were up for pre-order today at 1:00. If you go to Hasbro Pulse, you might be able to pre-order them unless you're waiting for them to show up on the shelves, which is fine too. But pre-orders the standards included Copperhead. This started as I believe it was a name only, and then they showed the digital. I've seen the progression of this since last year. Copperhead, for me, I always associated this character as being a driver of the water moccasin. Correct me if I'm wrong. Comment wherever you can comment if I'm right or wrong about that. I never associated him with the dreadnoughts, but apparently he's a very big dreadnought. So it'd be awesome to have another dreadnought. I'm always welcoming to have more dreadnoughts. I want more dreadnoughts. I am still patiently waiting for Buzzer, Ripper, and Torch. Can we just have Buzzer, Ripper, and Torch? That's all I ask for, and then I can peacefully die somewhere, or not. I can't, because then I'd have to maintain this collection. Stupid. I'd never had Copperhead. I recall him. I recall people having him. I recall my friends having him. They may have even had the water moccasin that he was associated with. I just remember him because he's head to toe green, basically. The next one, now here's where I would bitch a little bit, is we get Bazooka. We got the Tiger Force Bazooka first, which I really wanted this Bazooka before Tiger Force, but we got it flip-flopped. One of the shows that I was watching, I guess that something happened that screwed this up, that this was originally supposed to come out before the Target exclusive. So, I mean, if that's true, I'll give it a pass. Not as if Hasbro gives a damn what I think about it. This Bazooka is kind of fun in the fact that he has his mortars, I guess you call them, rockets that you put into the bazooka. They're painted. They have applications on them that one has the Tiger Force teeth on it, and the other one has I guess he said that was a crash test dummy pattern on it. The Tiger Force one would have been nice to go with the Tiger Force. That's something that should have been included in the Tiger Force line. I guess that's kind of a thing where people are going to probably buy both, so you're gonna flip flop the mortars. Yeah, I think I think the Tiger Force ones are just plain Jane green. I never had Bazooka. I wanted Bazooka when I was a child, so I'm excited. And I had the Tiger Force version already, so it would be nice to have the inverse colors of the regular Bazooka. Now if we could get the regular version of Recondo was one of my favorites. I have the Tiger Force version, but not the normal one. Torpedo, I seem to recall having him as a child too. He's the I guess Navy SEAL. He comes with the flippers and all that stuff. I was surprised that he's at the $24.99 price point, because usually they're like, oh, if they have all these accessories, he has like a lot of these extra accessories. But I don't think it's not enough to knock him into the next into a deluxe figure. I mean, he's neat, but he's kind of like plain looking. I mean, he's a special there's a specialty towards him. It is what it is. Not top of my list, not bottom of my list. Probably, let's see here. If I have to rank it, if I'm ranking everything in this episode against Big Boa, he ranks above Big Boa. But not by much. And then Rock and Roll is, or sorry, no. Well, all right, Rock and Roll. I already said it, so all right, let's go there. I recall Rock and Roll just being one of those the green figures. There's a bunch of figures that were just green, and I always thought that they were just, the troopers. They were just the Joes that you used to. They were the fodder. They were, what did I say to somebody? I called them the Cobra Troopers like bullet sponges. I guess it's kind of like the same version. But I'm glad that they actually gave him a persona. Well, it's not necessarily that they gave him a persona. He's always had a persona. My childhood memory doesn't have any relation to him as far as his story goes. He was just a trooper to me. But they added a lot to this character, which included like tattoos, which I can't wait to see. He has this I think it was a skull or a demon tattoo on his hand, and if you position his hand, he's got the metal fingers. So if you position the hand over top of his face, the skull completes the bottom of his face, which just looks freaking awesome. Kind of would have liked to see more of that. Originally, Storm Shadow was supposed to have sleeves. He was supposed to have sleeves. And for whatever reason they backed off on that. I don't know if it was fan backlash that wanted a more traditional classic Storm Shadow, or if it's because they don't want it to relate to the Yakuza, whatever. But we get some tattoos with this character. I mean, he's not the first one. I mean, there's of course that guy and the other guy, the Gung Ho, who has the tattoo on his chest. And then this other guy, I believe, has tattoos as well, and is another one that was up there. I had another one I loved as a kid, but then again, Paul loves everything, is of course Shipwreck with Polly. And I like the whole thing with Polly where they wanted a peg system where Polly would sit on his shoulder or sit on his arm, much like Freedom does with Spirit. but they couldn't figure out, the bird was so small, they couldn't figure out how to make it work where he would have, you have to have a pegging system. How would you make his feet? And they just decided to give Polly a peg leg because it fit, and just a pretty good idea. Although someone brought up in one of the groups that I'm in, where the artwork on the box has shipwreck on a submarine, and there's missiles being launched up out of the water, but there's a bicycle behind him in the submarine, and they're like, why is there a bicycle on the deck of a submarine? That makes no sense. And I had to look it up. I went to the Hasbro site, looked it up. It was there. I was like, is somebody trolling us? I don't know. Is there an in-story reason for the bicycle to be there? Did he ride? Is he on the top of a Cobra vessel and he rode the bike there? I don't know. Comment your comments wherever you can comment. Another one. Now this one's a deluxe figure. It was another one that I am super stoked about. I was super excited. They announced another one of my favorites. I love this one because it had so many items that went with it. He went with like the snow cat and everything. It is of course Snow Job. Awesome character, horrible name. It's something, I'm looking to, I've been picking up some of the vintage figures to look to rebuild them, and this is one of them that I want to rebuild is Snow Job and get all of his accessories and everything. But he's their first first deluxe figure because he comes with a lot of shit. And when they were previewing it, they were showing like a lot of the artwork and in universe, having them pose where they're in their environments and everything. And there's a snow bat in behind him. I only saw the one, and then afterwards they're like, oh no, there's another one. If you look on the other side if you look on the left side of them, there's another bat behind him. So that was their cheeky Easter egg of that. They're gonna bring out snow bats. My hope is that they'll give the snow bats maybe some snow equipment, snow related items, instead of just like, well, here's a snow bat, we're just going to repaint the bat's snow colors and he's just going to go in the box. But the other part of me is like, I don't want here's a snow rat, we're gonna repaint him from a bat, and then we're gonna upcharge you $34.99 for him because all the accessories that come in there are just too much and brings up the price point or whatever. I just enough to make him different than everybody else, damn it. Moving on is a scrap iron drone with blast effect. He has a drone. We're finally rolling out these darn blast effects that people have been asking for ages. I guess you can get them from Valaverse, but yeah, they're fine. I guess I'm assuming that's going to, your blast effects are going to come from deluxe and above. They consider the scrap iron, even though he has a drone, they consider the drone a pet. So I guess it's small enough. It's small enough that it's going to be a deluxe figure, but not anything else, not anything bigger, not a vehicle. I vaguely remember scrap iron. I'm not 100% sure if I had him. I seem to recall looking at some stuff, and he's had kind of like this mini tank or this mini drone or whatever, with him. And I kind of recall having that. Like this is like the pinnacle of like the announcement today. I do the Snow Job, and then I scrap iron, removable helmet. They gave him some characteristics. They scarred up his face. I think this is the winner for tonight is scrap iron. And finally is the Valkyrie Cobra Troop Builder 2-packs. These are our Fem Troopers. We finally got them. They are the figure 2-packs, $54.99. They were also it. It's an exclusive. It's a Hasbro Pulse exclusive along with Snow Job that you can only get them at the hasbropulse.com. And I kind of wonder if that's a purposeful thing where, Snow Job, you might get a standard version of Snow Job where he doesn't have as many bells and whistles. And I kind of feel like the Valkyrie female troopers are probably going to go that in the same way where maybe you can get them singly on the pegs, and then this is just the a fast way to get the troop builders out there. I don't know. I don't know if troops, do troops just typically sit on the pegs? Is that kind of their feeling on this? I don't know. I'm unsure. It's kind of weird too. I don't know if it's a typo or whatever, but it seems like the Fem Troopers are being presented as a part of a snow team. And with them being an exclusive to Hasbro, or Hasbro Pulse rather, and Snowjob being exclusive to Hasbro Pulse, I wonder if Hasbro Pulse is going to do, like, if their exclusive line is going to feature like the specialty, the snow specialty characters. Which could be an interesting aspect. I don't mind the Hasbro Pulse kind of exclusives versus like the San Diego Comic-Con or the PulseCon exclusives, these things that have like a harder threshold to get a hold of things, whereas PulseCon kind of seems to me, HasbroPulse.com seems to me more like a fan club kind of thing, where it's like, you used to be able to get like Cobra Commander or Sergeant Slaughter via mailways, or later on they had fan clubs where you could get these kind of things, and I kind of feel like this kind of stuff leans into that a little bit more. And for $50 a year that I have to pay for the membership, I would like to see a little bit more in the exclusives end, to make that to justify that extra purchase or that extra payment that I have to make. One last thing that I want to throw out there before I depart y'all is that there was some spoilers, leaks, theories, I guess more like theories, that the PulseCon exclusive and the San Diego Comic exclusive, that there's theories on what characters they are. I think the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, the theory for it is it's going to be Chuckles, because they announced Chuckles as name only, but we have yet to see anything about Chuckles, and he's supposed to come with an armory. He kind of ranks up there. Well, before I get into that, and then the PulseCon exclusive, the rumor, the theory, the spoilers, the leak is that it's supposed to be a Crimson version of the Twins and Baroness. So it's a 3-pack where they would be wearing the red and silver. Now, the thing that I was going to hit on is that this is the thing that's a sticking point with me. This is the bitch point for Paul, and it seems to be a bitch point for a lot of the collectors in the Joe line, is that they announce things that are high demand, and instead of releasing them for everybody to get to, they put it behind this huge ass paywall. They did it with Mindbender. They did it with Serpentor. Now they're supposed to come out later on, but to get those, to sink their hooks in, they put them as exclusives. So it's kind of odd where it's like you got Chuckles, which is another high demand character, and he's going to be behind this San Diego Comic-Con paywall. That kind of makes no sense. And rumors he's supposed to come with some sort of armory. Okay. Whereas the Crimson version of Baroness and Tomax and Xamot make more sense to me, because that, like, an exclusive where it's just a paint variant just kind of makes more sense to me, versus like stuff that just people are going to kill themselves to try to get a hold of, or it's such a pain in the ass to get a hold of. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Again, is this any different than the mail away exclusive for Sergeant Slaughter or Cobra Commander or any of these other things? Let me know what your thoughts are about that. As far as that goes, I am out of here, and I will catch you on another episode. Bye-bye.